Dobar dan svima koji su se sada pridružili. Dobrodošli i na panelu EUROJUST-u. Ja ću poželiti dobrodošlicu našim gostima, našim govornicima. Sa nama su danas Luka Stari, nacionalni predstavnik Češke u EUROJUST-u, tužiteljka za vezu za Srbiju u EUROJUST-u Gordana Janićijević i Azra Ivković, Western Balkans Criminal Justice Project će nam ona predstaviti, projektna koordinatorka. Tako da. Sad, kako bismo se lakše razumeli, kako bi oni mogli da prate ovaj panel, nastavit ćemo na engleskom. So, welcome, and it's nice to see you here today. Of course, and I will give a chance for questions later. There will be actually a Q&A session after this panel. We will discuss today about Western Balkans Criminal Justice Project, as you see. And in the first place, I would like to say a few words about our guests today. Here we have Mr. Lukasz, right? Okay. Stari. He was appointed as a national member for the Czech Republic at EUROJUST on February 1st in 2011. Mr. Stari was a prosecutor in the International Department of the Supreme Public Prosecutor's Office of the Czech Republic from October 2008 to June 2009. And from 2003 to 2008, again from 2009 until his appointment at EUROJUST, Mr. Stari worked at the District Public Prosecutor's Office in Karvina. Ms. Gordana Janićijević took up her duties as liaison prosecutor for Serbia at EUROJUST in March 2020 for more than 7 years before starting in her new role. As this prosecutor, Ms. Janićijević was involved in the cooperation with EUROJUST in the capacity of the EUROJUST contact point for the prosecution service of the Republic of Serbia. Ms. Azra Ivković is the Western Balkan Criminal Justice Project Coordinator at EUROJUST since September 2022. And before assuming this role, she was in charge of a cooperation project with Latin America in the European Union Intellectual Property Office in Alicante in Spain. And, okay, I would like to say that throughout your career, you were also part of the French diplomatic service at several French embassies in the Western Balkan region. So, we will start with Mr. Lukasz. Mr. Stari, we are very honored that we have you here today with us. You have been the national member of the Czech Republic at EUROJUST, as I said, since February 2011. You're an experienced prosecutor with extensive knowledge about EUROJUST. Could you tell us something more about EUROJUST, its mandate, and the way it operates?
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, not only for the floor, for the question, but most importantly for the very kind invite of EUROJUST team to Belgrade. Indeed, I'm very pleased to respond to your question and provide you with general information what EUROJUST is actually about. EUROJUST is the European Union agency, existing for more than 20 years as EUROJUST, with the aim and objective to support and coordinate competent national authorities, primarily of the European Union member states, but also several non-European Union member states, including Serbia, when it comes to fighting primarily serious organized crime. What does that mean in simple terms? Well, you know that within the European Union there are practically no internal borders, so there is a free movement of people, goods, capital, but inevitably also, unfortunately, of illegal assets, of suspects, of criminals. And obviously there is a need to improve cooperation of police officers, prosecutors, or judges when it comes to the investigation of the crimes committed not only by the criminals freely moving between the borders, but also the ones residing in their countries, but using simply all the means which the current time offers us, internet, etc., and in order to facilitate their criminal activities. You might know that the judicial cooperation might be or has some challenges. Why? Because the criminal doesn't need any authorization to cross the borders. However, when it comes to the police, and now, for example, speaking for my country, I'm from the Czech Republic, so the police from the Czech Republic generally cannot cross the borders and conduct the searches, house searches, or arrest people in Germany, Poland, and vice versa. There is a certain procedure which requires formal request to be issued and then subsequently executed by the countries where the actions actually shall be taken. There is procedure, there are international treaties or legal instruments implied within the European Union, which needs to be followed. And there are several or many aspects of that cooperation, and this is exactly the role of Eurojust to try to overcome any possible issues during execution of such requests. Another example of Eurojust cooperation might be simply coordination of parallel investigations. You might have a criminal group active in Belgrade, however, example, being in a drug business and exporting drugs to Czechia and Germany. And obviously the crime is happening in all those three countries, and in all those three countries there might be investigations. And you can imagine that action, for example, in Prague might jeopardize the investigations in Belgrade or in Berlin, in Germany. So there is a need to coordinate the actions. And this is also an activity which is typically carried out by Eurojust. How we do it? There are several means. Most importantly, at Eurojust, as I said in the beginning, there are representatives of all EU 27 member states, plus 13 non-European Union member states, again, including Serbia. All of those representatives of those countries dispose with the knowledge of international judicial cooperation rules, and perhaps even more importantly, they dispose with practical knowledge on their legal systems and practices applied in their countries of their origin. So if I, for example, need, and I'm referring back to this hypothetical cooperation Serbia, Czech Republic, Germany. So if I need information about Serbian investigation, Serbian procedure, Serbian law, I don't have to study it, I don't have to ask someone abroad. I simply knock on the door of Gordana's office and ask her for assistance. So basically we communicate directly and having access to such valuable information in basically no time. When the cooperation requires more intense cooperation of competent authorities, Eurojust can organize and does organize so-called coordination meetings to which the prosecutors, police officers in charge of investigations are invited. Eurojust arranges for simultaneous interpretation, covers the costs of such meetings, and also provides certain legal guidance and assistance during those meetings. And this, I believe, is a unique service which is provided by Eurojust, enabling the ones who are directly responsible for investigation to speak to each other in their mother tongues, being in quite comfortable situation, because when it comes to some issues of judicial cooperation, there is the role of us at Eurojust to advise them. And simply the aim is to achieve agreement how to proceed in such complex investigations. At the same time, if, for example, in those investigations it's necessary to conduct house searches and arrest the criminals in one day, Eurojust also support those actions by establishing a coordination center during which those actions are coordinated, and Eurojust stands for also preparation of such action, coordination, communication between the involved prosecutors, judges, and police officers. So this is just a little introduction of how Eurojust works, and I'm happy to explain in more details, perhaps in also follow-up questions. Thank you.
Okay, and after this overview, I would like to hear some more details about your daily tasks. At your job as a national member, could you shed some light on that role?
This is a very good question. I could perhaps divide my time in perhaps 3 or 4 subcategories. The most important one is the job which I just described, support of national authorities when it comes to investigations, prosecutions. In principle, every prosecutor in the Czech Republic, judge, and to a large extent also police officer who is in charge of investigation can contact me directly by phone, by email, letter, and asking me for assistance. We discuss the case, and I offered the assistance which can be facilitated and offered, provided by Eurojust. And basically, I could only refer to the case I was just describing, cooperation Germany, Serbia, Czech Republic. This is, I would say, the most important activity which I am in charge of. Secondly, as a national member representing the Czech Republic and taking into account the structure of Eurojust, I also represent my country in management board of Eurojust, of the agency. So basically, I'm in charge of the management of the agency. And lastly, Eurojust is confronted with several issues which are primarily related to judicial cooperation and, in general, fighting crime. So there are many activities aiming at supporting practitioners, prosecutors, in terms of presentations, preparation of legal documents, summarizing good practices, etc. And actually, this is today's panel discussion is also can be ranked among these promotional activities.
Okay, one of your tasks. Okay, thank you for this introduction. Ms. Gordana Janićijević, it's nice to see you here with us today, of course. And Eurojust and Serbia signed a cooperation agreement in November 2019 with the first licensed prosecutor, you, taking up your duties in March 2020. So could you tell us how your presence at Eurojust as a licensed prosecutor enhances the relationship between Serbia and EU in those criminal matters?
Thank you for the question, ali prvo hoću da kažem na srpskom jeziku da pozdravimo sve u publici. S obzirom da se ja nalazim u Beogradu, žela bih da eto prosto kažem nešto i na srpskom, ali ću zbog lakše komunikacije naravno govoriti na engleskom. So thank you very much for this question, and also thank you very much for inviting me to participate in this panel. I have to say that I am very pleased and very happy to be here with you, with all of you. And you're quite right. We signed the agreement in 2029, and I took up my position in 2020. 2020, yes, I'm quite good. In March 2020, you will know why I am emphasizing March 2020, because this is the first when Corona started. Yes, when Corona started. But ever since I enter this beautiful building in The Hague, situated in The Hague, I felt like a part of European family. Actually, I realized that we have the same goal, that we work towards make world safer, European Union safer, and our countries safer. So working on the same goal, you are always feeling just dedicated to that work and trying to enhance everything that is needed, and of course to enhance everything that you can enhance everything that is happening in your country. For example, attending some meetings and having insight in some new tools, in something new that you actually can share then with your colleagues and help them actually to realize what is the core of our business and what is the core of, let's say, European Union values.
Okay, so you have information.
Yeah, yeah, of course. My presence at EUROJUST is crucial. I could say that by my heart, because I think that having your neighbors next to your door, it's something that is inevitable, which is of utmost importance in coordination and cooperation. If I can, like Lucas said, knock to the neighbor door, for example, Dutch door, because the Dutch colleagues are my neighbors, closest neighbors. So basically that means that we can achieve any kind of arrangement, agreement, legal agreement to how to deal with our organized crime. We deal with organized crime. I think that Lucas already mentioned the core crime in EUROJUST are combating organized crime, corruption, and terrorism. So basically, this is something which is the most danger that represents the most danger for all the countries, and it's much easy when you can go there, sit with your colleagues, share what you need, what your colleagues back home need, and then achieve agreement how to deal in the future with that. That's why I could say that my presence, physical presence there, is really necessary. And as I explained, my colleagues, same as Lucas said, my colleagues can approach me. It's totally the same approach. So my colleagues prosecution, you know that we have 90 prosecution offices in Serbia. So each and every prosecutor in Serbia is aware about existing of a place of prosecutor in The Hague. So if they have any kind of potential problem that should be raised in EUROJUST, at EUROJUST, or should be solved somehow, I cannot promise that I will solve everything, but I can promise that I will try. So that's why they know that they can reach me anytime. I have 3 phones, so they can reach me anytime, and via any means of communication, and to tell me what is actually something and anything that they need. I can open my own case in case management system at EUROJUST, which is very beneficial for us, which means that it is our case, a Serbian case. It's not case of some member state, it's our case. And in that sense, I can suggest having coordination meetings and bring my colleague to The Hague, bring police, bring prosecutors, of course, and the other representatives of the other authorities, and then we can discuss the case. Of course, first of all, I go to my colleagues, Lukas, for example, knock to his door, have coffee with him, and during that coffee we share what our authorities need, what can be achieved, what is our legislation in place, and how to deal in future. Then we go back home and say we can, okay, Czech Republic could do that for us. Is it sufficient enough for you? Then if they ask that it is quite good, then we start our cooperation And then we start with coordination meetings at EUROJUST. Those meetings are always supported by translation, which means if our prosecutors are coming to The Hague, they have fully translated meeting into Serbian. We can enter into a joint investigation team, which is an exceptional tool and unique tool provided only within EUROJUST, and supported and paid and financed by EUROJUST. But going back to your question, let's say that facilitating any means, any kind of cooperation, helping my colleague in Serbia here, helping all of us is the core of my business there.
Well, this sounds great, actually, especially knowing the context here, when common opinion is that there is no prosecutor when you need them the most, and they're not so popular in this society because people think that they don't do their job, actually.
I don't believe that.
So, but I would like to hear more explanation about some situation you have, what you achieved. Can you give us some examples?
I could give you some statistical. Since I have joined in March, I worked and I have dealt with more than 300 cases. When I say 300 cases, it seems, it's 4 years, maybe it's not too much, but it is. It is not a simple case. None of those is not simple as it looks like, because you need the coordination. Sometimes just in one case, you need to send, I don't know, not thousand, but let's say hundreds of emails, and to exchange so many phone calls just to achieve something. So each and every of those cases are cases which are demanding, and I think the number is quite good comparing to the number of the others. I wouldn't tell anything about that. But I will also mention that I was involved in 89 new cases. What does it mean? It means that we actually opened our own cases. So Serbian prosecutors approached me in 89 cases asking help, facilitation. They have MLA request. You know what MLA request is. Sometimes it's really tricky to understand, but this is a zamolnica na srpskom. And sometimes they need results immediately. They need it in that day, even the day. So they sent to me scanned version. Then I transfer it, pass it, forward it to Lukasz. Lukasz pass it immediately at the same day to his authorities. They're acting with urgency. So it's really something which is not comparable to any other. This is my opinion. I have to say. Also, our authorities participated at 23 coordination meetings so far. And in this year. So we had coordination, but this coordination didn't stop only that. For example, we had action days after that. And maybe if you read the newspapers, that you had action day with the arrest of so many people because of drug dealing or money laundering or any other things, you could be sure that somehow, somewhere behind EUROJUST is behind, actually. Also, we have coordination centers. Lukasz already spoke about that. I won't speak more, and take your time. And we have now a new 4 joint investigation team. This is a special tool, as I said, unique tool. We can exchange. If we enter into a joint investigation team with Czech Republic or with Germany or any other country, we can provide each other any kind of information without sending any MLA request. What does it mean? Ne treba zamolnica. Ne treba vam zamolnica. Znači, sve što razmenite od informacija je validno na sudu. So, all information exchange within the JIT is valid in a court. So you can use it in a court trial. Freely.
Okay.
So, basically...
Yeah, that is much more easier for you.
I can speak hours and hours.
Okay. Now we can discuss about this later, but now I think it's time to give a word to Azra.
Yes,
Azra Ivkovic. I'm sorry. It's nice to see you here with us today, of course. And I need to say that the Western Balkans Criminal Justice Project, it's a few words about project, is an EU-funded project implemented by EUROJUST with the aim to strengthen judicial cooperation within the Western Balkans and between the region and the European Union. So Azra, you're the project coordinator, and as I said, we are pleased to have you here so we can hear something more about the project and its objectives.
Thank you, Vanya, and thank you for inviting us here today, especially because I understand that the EU Opportunity Week is also about EU funding and the support that the EU provides and opportunities, so I believe our project is a good example. Good evening to all of you. So I will say a few words about our project. EUROJUST started to implement this project 2 years ago. It is funded by the pre-accession assistance instruments, so-called EPA 3, and it focuses on the Western Balkans. The main aim is to enhance cross-border cooperation within the Western Balkan region, meaning among Western Balkan countries, and between Western Balkan countries and EU member states. Our main beneficiaries are the judicial and law enforcement authorities of the Western Balkans. But then what exactly we do? So, as EUROJUST supports the EU member state, you understood, the project wants to actually provide the same kind of support to the Western Balkans, meaning that we support joint and parallel investigation, cross-border investigation, and that involve at least one Western Balkan country. So it can be a cross-border investigation between one Western Balkan country and another, or it can be between a Western Balkan country and an EU member state, or even a Western Balkan country and a third country, if there is a EU interest involved. What kind of support do we provide exactly to investigation? We support meetings, so when the prosecutors, as explained, need to meet in coordination meeting, we support the participation of Western Balkans prosecutor to these meetings. We also provide equipment for investigations, translation, and also specific expertise that are needed for the investigation. We also organize trainings, also peer-to-peer exchanges, and a regional conference on the specific thematic topics that are relevant for the region, including on joint investigation teams, for example, to also give an opportunity to Western Balkan judicial practitioner to meet and exchange with with EU prosecutors, for example, and to share their practice, also to keep update about new crime trends, for example, like cybercrime. So it's very important that with the project we manage to create the room for them to meet and to exchange their experience. So now, if you agree, I would like to invite you to watch the short video that explains a bit more in detail, but still it's short, the concept of the project and what we can do actually for Western Balkan judicial practitioners.
Okay, I think it's ready. Can we now watch the video about EUROJUST? Okay.
Cross-border organised crime is a major threat to all European citizens. Cooperation between the EU and its neighbours is crucial to tackle it effectively. As candidates and potential candidates for EU membership, Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Kosovo, North Macedonia, Montenegro and Serbia are key partners in building a safer Europe.
With the European Commission, we remain committed to the further integration of the Western Balkans in the European Union. The fight for the rule of law and against organized crime takes a very central role in that process.
That's why the European Commission's Directorate General for Neighbourhood and Enlargement Negotiations, DG NEAR, responsible for EU enlargement, is funding the Western Balkans Criminal Justice Project, which aims to create more effective coordination between judicial authorities in the EU and the Western Balkans, as well as to deepen cooperation within the Western Balkan region itself.
The EU and the Western Balkans face common criminal threats, which we obviously need to tackle together. And this is why we aim to bring about an environment where information and best practices on criminal investigations can be shared in a professional and trusted manner. The Western Balkans EUROJUST Project, funded by the Instrument for Pre-Accession Assistance, supports the further integration of the Western Balkans into the work of EUROJUST. They are future EU member states at the end of the day. This fits perfectly well with the European Commission's overall approach to bring the Western Balkans region closer to the European Union, using the tools provided by the EU Justice and Home Affairs agencies, and to place the rule of law at the heart of the enlargement process.
The Western Balkans Criminal Justice Project, or WBCJ, is being implemented by EUROJUST, the EU agency for criminal justice cooperation based in The Hague. For over 20 years, EUROJUST has been a unique hub where prosecutors from across Europe and beyond come together to investigate and disrupt serious cross-border crime.
With the international dimension of organized crime growing ever bigger, we as judicial practitioners need to look for ways to overcome them. As the EU agency for criminal justice cooperation, EUROJUST sits at the heart of this international effort.
At EUROJUST, this works in several ways. The exchange of information, evidence and best practices through joint investigation teams, coordination meetings and coordination centres facilitated by EUROJUST, as well as legal, financial and interpretation support from EUROJUST to make it all possible. Now, the benefits of EUROJUST's Judicial Cooperation Toolkit are being extended to the Western Balkans thanks to the project.
Inspired by the EUROJUST model and the success we have built over the past 20 years, the project aims to step up judicial cooperation not only between the Western Balkans and EU member states, but just as much within the region.
The project supports Western Balkan judicial authorities in using the cooperation tools and instruments which have proven so successful at EUROJUST, equipping practitioners with the necessary tools and competencies to fight cross-border organized crime. So how does it work?
At the core of the project sit experienced professionals from all 6 partners in the Western Balkans and what we call a contact group. They are the beating heart of this endeavor, and they make this new project method unique.
The role of the contact group is to identify cross-border cases involving organized crime, which can be tackled with investigative action supported through the project. By facilitating contact and funding coordination meetings, technical expertise, interpretation, translations, and IT equipment as required.
EUROJUST shares its experience, expertise, and resources with all colleagues involved, for instance, in organizing coordination meetings and centers, and importantly, in establishing joint investigation teams with prosecutors and judges from all corners of our continent.
The project is providing concrete support to several cross-border cases of drug trafficking, fraud and money laundering, and delivering tools to practitioners in the Western Balkan region. Thanks to the WBCJ project, the EU's nearest neighbours are becoming even closer partners in our common efforts against organised crime.
We believe that this project offers a way to join forces even more in order to protect our societies.
With our Western Balkan colleagues now firmly on board, the unfolding of tomorrow's judicial cooperation landscape in Europe starts now.
For more information about the project, visit EUROJUST's website.
very nice. And I'm sure that you're all aware how important is this, I would say, instrument, this project, and especially when we talk about these countries in this region, when fighting against corruption and organized criminal is really something challenging, I could say that. But what do you think, Azra? What's the biggest added value of this project being implemented at EUROJUST?
Yeah, so the idea, as you could understand from the video and what we said before, is of the project is to offer to the Western Balkans the same kind or level of support that EUROJUST provides to the EU member states. And for that reason, the project mirrors as much as possible the procedure and the methodology or the modus operandi of EUROJUST. That's what the president in the video says in this innovative methodology. Mm-hmm. So that's why at the beginning of the project we created this contact group that is also mentioned in the video of prosecutors from all the region that are in charge of identifying cases. And they are meeting regularly with the support of the project. At EUROJUST, we work hand in hand with the licensed prosecutors, with the national members, and of course with the administration. We actually are kind of a bridge between the Western Balkans and EUROJUST, just as also the licensed prosecutors. And that's, I think, one of the added value of this project. Also, another benefit is that we support parallel and joint investigations and prosecution. And you for sure know that it's one of the very important criteria for the accession process, Chapter 24. So with the project, I think also we help in a way to Serbia and other countries of the region in their path to the EU. And finally, also this was said, can only emphasize that only together, Western Balkans and EU, with the help of EUROJUST and the project, we can actually crack down organized crime, because we really need to work together to also, at the end, ensure the security of the citizens of the Western Balkans and the EU. That's, I think, what I would say.
It's a similar thing that I want to ask you, actually, Ms. Janicevic. In your experience, what would you say is the biggest benefit for Serbia?
Thank you for that question. Tomorrow we will have a conference here in Belgrade. Maybe you're aware about that. We will have all prosecutors coming to Belgrade and to listen what is the benefit of the project and what they can ask from the project. As you know, we are not part of European Union. We are considered as a third country at EUROJUST, which means that we are guests in the building, that we are guests there. True, we have an agreement cooperation, which is a higher level than the other third countries in the world, but nevertheless, we don't have let's say the same support, not in a substantial sense, but support when it comes to the number of participants that can participate at coordination meeting, for example. If EUROJUST could support only 2 per our state, which is sometimes not enough, because sometimes we need 2 prosecutors there, we need police officers there, we need maybe tax officers there, and then we are coming to the point that we are not that we are not able to have all of them during the coordination meeting. So that's why we address Azra and the project. I have to say that the project has a great team. Maria Laura, Natalie, Philip, excellent team. They are always online with us. I'm there. We are really close to each other, and we approach them, ask them to support financially traveling of our prosecutors to The Hague, being there, staying there, because for Serbia it's not so easy, to pay for all of these participants to come to the coordination meeting. And coordination meeting is crucial sometimes, just to make plans for the future. So basically that, of course, Eurojust always organizes some annual meetings which are on a specific topics: migrant smuggling, terrorism, joint investigation team, anything else. And sometimes, not sometimes, but very,
Okay.
very often, let's say, Eurojust could not support participation of third countries. Then we address to ASRA and the team and ask to support our participants. And we always received yes, which means that our participants are always in, trying to catch up and to go in line with the European Union standards, with achievements, with new European Union tools, with new European Union legislation, and everything what is actually needed. So basically, we have a lot of support from the project. I want to thank them for that. And of course, I can list many of those. For example, translation. We had recently one case that we received from a member state as the answer to our MLA request on 600 pages. So we addressed the project and kindly asked them to translate it into Serbian, because we need it officially translated. You know that our court would not accept if it is not officially translated. So they translate it, and now we have a case.
Yeah, and sometimes that translation could last for years.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
That's
And I think it's pretty much clear now what is Eurojust, what is the project about, and what are your tasks and how everything functions. And now I will give a chance to audience to ask some questions. Okay, we have one here. Just wait for microphone, please. Da li možemo samo da dobijemo mikrofon za pitanja?
Gospodine ovdje, da.
Vi ste se javili.
Thank you all first for this explanation and information that you give to us. I have a question. Is there any cooperation between Kosovo and Serbia or the rest of Serbia within this Eurojust and Western Balkans Criminal Justice Project? Is this cooperation possible? And there were some interesting cases, we all know that.
Okay, thank you.
This is a
The question is for Ms. Gordana or Azra or whoever can give the answer.
Okay, the project relies actually on the request of the Western Balkan authorities, because of course they are the owner of the investigation of the case, so we cannot ask, they come to us with the request for support for cases. So so far we didn't get any request that involves Serbia and Kosovo. I can leave Gordana if you want to complement. But we have cooperation, for example, between Kosovo and Albania, Kosovo and North Macedonia. We have cooperation of Serbia with North Macedonia, so it's not an obstacle for the project. And of course, we need to cope and to take into consideration the legal framework of each country. And again, it's the authorities that approach us with the request for funding. So I hope I replied to your question.
You know the position of Republic of Serbia when it comes to Kosovo. It is clear enough to any of us. So basically, within this project, we are not dealing directly with Kosovo and Metohija, let's say, and that's why this contact group exists. So basically, each and everyone can address project separately and deal with that. So basically, we didn't have any kind of a request, and we cannot do that directly. So I think that's my question, my answer.
Okay, if I can add, do you see that as a problem? Is that actually an obstacle, this political issue, is that an obstacle to solving some cases? Because
well, this question
two parties have problems with criminal organizations and groups.
Well, this is a...
I'm not saying two countries, I said two parties.
Okay. I don't believe that we have any issue regarding this because each and every country and part of country, partners, they call it partners, I mean in your...
It's official partners,
official partners. Okay. Partners can address directly the project and get the support of this. We haven't received, Serbia hasn't received any kind of request or any kind of potential case with Kosovo and Metohija because it would not be possible for us to deal with it because we consider it as our part of our country. So we cannot do, I mean, coordination between us.
Okay, anyone else? You would like to? Okay. Oh.
Is it on? Can you hear me? So my name is Mikaela Grenkvist. I work here in the EU delegation in Belgrade. I had, thank you very much for this. This was very useful and interesting. I had two questions. I was wondering, first maybe, because you said that they, for example, with Gordana, you say they contact you and then you raise it. So is it faster to go through EUROJUST or would it be faster to go bilaterally to the other authorities? So that was one question. And then I was wondering, how do you cooperate as EUROJUST, for example, with other institutions such as Europol or also the EPPO, for example? And yeah, I think those were my two key questions.
Okay. Thank you very much. This is actually the substantial question regarding the EUROJUST and work through EUROJUST, which means that of course it's much faster going through me than going through central authorities. Because if I receive MLA request this day, I will pass it, as I said, immediately on that day, and it will reach out to the competent authority very soon. But going through central authorities, you know how it goes. Through Ministry of Justice, then Ministry of Justice send it to another Ministry of Justice, then Ministry of Justice send it to some other authority who might not be competent. Then that authority is, just assessing MLA request, and this is the trickiest part because execution of MLA request takes time. And that's why we need to do something and we work on that to shorten the time and to help our authorities to get answer as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe I can respond your second question. I would distinguish between coexistence and cooperation between EPPO, EUROJUST and other European Union Home Affairs and judicial agencies like Europol, Frontex, CEPOL, and others. To start with EPPO, European Public Prosecutor's Office, there is a substantial difference first in substance as it comes to the nature and objectives and roles of EPPO and Eurojust. EPPO is a sui generis institution, but in the substance is a prosecutorial agency of authority. As such, EPPO is responsible for prosecution of crimes affecting financial interests of European Union, so directly responsible for the outcomes of investigations and prosecutions, whereas Eurojust is just supportive and coordinating agency. If there is an investigation into financial crime affecting EU interests, EPPO is simply competent to request and assistance or obtain assistance throughout the EU member states participating in the project of EPPO directly. There is no need and even no competence of Eurojust. However, if EPPO prosecutor needs some evidence from the country outside the European Union or from the country which is not involved in EPPO, like at this moment still Poland, Ireland or Sweden, Eurojust or Hungary, Eurojust can support cooperation between EPPO and those countries. So in principle, Eurojust is expected to support investigation supervised by EPPO if requested by EPPO, and also Eurojust may support all the other crimes, including even crimes affecting European Union interest, if not covered by EPPO. So there is this level of cooperation. I would say that by far the most intense cooperation with when other agencies are concerned is between Europol and Eurojust. First, both agencies are located 300 meters from each other. In principle, every judicial cooperation involves also police, because this is eventually the police which goes and arranges for house searches or arrest people. So judiciary is the one arranging for the legal background, and police is executing the tasks on the spot. And in principle, usually the judicial cooperation is happening in certain phase of criminal investigations. But at the beginning, it's the police looking into the crime scene. So very frequently and mostly, the police cooperation precedes the judicial cooperation, which takes place later on in the later phase of criminal investigation and prosecution. So when saying this, it's inevitable that those two agencies need to cooperate, need to share information, and also resources, because in principle their objective is almost the same: support national authorities when fighting cross-border serious organized crime.
If I may add, Lukasz?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, when you say Europol, of course this is a police level, police to police exchange of information. When you say Eurojust, it's a judicial level, prosecutorial exchange information. So Europol works with the intelligence data, and Eurojust works with evidence. What does it mean? It means that when Europol starts its own investigation together with the police and exchange all those information with the police, they are staying on that intelligence level, which means that we cannot use any of those intelligence data in our proceedings in front of the court. But then they realize that they need to involve and include prosecutors. When they realize and when they decide to include prosecutors, they turn to Eurojust. And then we call our prosecutors, we organize coordination meeting, invite Europol as well, because they have already so many information, and then everything what we obtain is served as evidence and is admissible at the court. Our task is to make those intelligence, those evidence admissible at the court.
Thank you. Okay, we have one more question here.
Thank you very much. I understand that your role is to ensure that there is a prosecution and that you bring criminals to the court. But what happens when the court makes a decision? Do you also cooperate on implementing the verdicts across the countries? Personally, I know of several cases where courts in one country have made their decisions, but those were never implemented because the people in charge, the people guilty, were in other countries, and it was not possible to implement those. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay. The competence of EUROJUST covers all phases of criminal investigation and prosecutions, including the situations you have just described. It's true that the core of EUROJUST activities and support and assistance is provided in the pre-trial phase. However, assisting also judges during trials, and once the trials are concluded, once the convictions became final, this also falls within the EUROJUST mandate, and EUROJUST does support also cooperation, if there is a cross-border element, in situations like you just described. So this assistance can be provided. And to add one important element, EUROJUST in principle acts upon the request of the competent authorities in charge of the domestic investigations. Our role is to support the needs of the ones who are in charge of investigations. So if there is no request in principle to us, then EUROJUST is not active. So, but if there is request and EUROJUST can assist, then EUROJUST does its best to help and to assist.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. If we understand you well, you can provide assistance, but actually you can't force someone to actually do that, what Mr. actually said.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. If there's no more questions, this is the end of this day and of this panel. Thank you all. It was really a pleasure to speak with you and to have you here today in European House in Belgrade. And thank you for the explanation of what does EUROJUST do. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Okay. I hvala vama što ste bili danas sa nama ovde uživo i onima koji su nas pratili online. Pozivam vas da dođete i sutra, da pratite sutrašnje infosesije i programe. Sutra je dan posvećen mladima, obrazovanju. Sigurna sam da će biti i tu interesantnih panela i poneka interesantna i korisna informacija za svako. Hvala vam lepo na pažnji i vidimo se sutra.
Hvala vam svima, evo i od mene.